Are we live? Is this thing on?
Right.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy Disco. We got a big banger of a freaking slate. We're going to talk about all the daytime games here on Sunday. We're going to break down all fantasy projections. We're going to break down all good stuff like that. If you guys see a chat, shout it out. We're joined here by three very special guests. I got my boy Best Ball Jonesy. I got my man, the best voice in fantasy football, JC, and we got the nicest human being on the planet, Mr. Patrick Pucci.
Hey, thanks.
What's up, fellas? How you guys
What's up,
doing? You guys all having a good day?
Yeah.
Great day. How about you?
Always a good day.
Living the dream. Another day, another fantasy football chat with my guys. Manny says I got here first. I think
he had that on there like 5 hours ago because I came onto the stream and I was going to put something in the chat, and there he was already. I was like, "Wow, I'm not going to be first now."
That was 11:47 a.m. Adrian Fitta says I'm leaving and unfollowing the second someone mentions Giants game 1. Fair warning. Okay, I got you, baby boy. Get your hearts ready, guys. We got some cute stuff here. Marcia Jimenez says your number one fan is here, Adam Jones. I don't know an Adam Jones. I know a Best Ball Jonesy, and Best Ball Jonesy says, "Hi, baby. I'm right here, bro. Just say it to me."
I know. You guys can fight it out who baby is.
It should be me. It should definitely be me. All right, folks. What you guys came for? Let's talk football. Is there anything that you guys wanted to mention about last night's game? Anything that you guys found interesting, found intriguing? Any takeaways from that game before we get into the Sunday slate?
I mean, for me, it's just going to be what the Eagles are doing at running back. You know, if Gainwell's still going to be injured, we saw Boston Scott go out in the third quarter with his concussion. Most likely, he's probably not going to be. I don't know when they play next week. If it's a Sunday game, I would assume if he'll be back for that. If not, I mean, they're going to have to either elevate someone or pick someone up. So that they got Swift, Penny, and someone else. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. I mean, the first half kind of played out how I thought it would. I thought Boston Scott would be involved just like Swift, and he was. And then, after that injury, Swift just. So props to anyone that started them. I mean, you definitely reap the rewards.
I had to start him. I had Aaron Jones, so I didn't want to take a chance.
Yep.
Fair enough. We got a couple chats in here. So some Patrick Pucci fans. Brian Dudek says, "I want to thank Patrick for all the shout outs." Me too.
Yep.
Hey, Brian, you're always welcome for the shout outs. Anytime you want one, just ask.
Stephen Hulick says, "Me too." Melissa Harris says, "Hi, y'all. What's up, JC? I see you got your hand up, brother. Talk to me. What do you want to say about last night's game?"
From last night's take, yeah. Besides Devontae Smith being him, didn't we talk about him Wednesday night?
Mm-hmm.
Like how he could possibly unseat AJ Brown.
I recall this.
Well, AJ Brown looked slow, and AJ Brown looked like he couldn't get open against the Vikings. I'm sorry, that's what it looked like to me.
I agree to disagree. But carry on.
I love to disagree, but carry on.
Well, I mean, he couldn't. Jalen Hurts can't just force the dude the ball. He's not open, and he doesn't look very fast. He looks like he actually gained weight. Looks like he got stronger. No, it looks like he's slower, a little bit, a half a step.
I think his burst isn't there, but speaking of half a step, there was a couple big plays where he was half a step away from making that play, which is why I'm optimistic on AJ Brown moving forward. But I don't disagree. I feel like Devonta Smith is like a top 3, top 5 wide receiver right now. Fantasy football nonsense, given the heart emoji. Was that for Jonesy as well too? Because it's either Patrick or Jonesy getting love. Stephen Hawk says, "Need to figure out how to change my account to Uncle Mercy." What's up?
It's not for us two up top. It's for them.
No, I know.
No. It's usually just Jonesy. I don't know why I'm getting any kind of praise. Jonesy's always as soon as he speaks, he just takes over the whole show.
I hear you. That voice is absolutely biblical. Did you have any takeaways for last night's game there, Mr. Pat, Mr. Pucci, Dom P?
Yeah, I'm wondering what do you think of Goddard? What do you guys think? I mean, I don't know yet. You know, is he going to be one of the top 5 tight ends, or is he just going to be
I mean, like that's the thing with the tight end position, especially if you're in a fantasy football league that requires the tight end position.
Yeah.
It's like the top 10, like there's people who are scoring like 7.8 fantasy football points in PPR format in the top 10. So it's like, yeah, he could be a top 10, but is he worth the ADP, or would you rather stream a tight end?
Exactly.
That comes down to
But I know where you're going with that stream.
Yeah.
On
exactly.
the tight end. I know where you get. I know
where
where you're
we're
going.
going.
It's down the road.
We had to bring it up.
Oh, not this week? Oh.
Well, I mean, speaking of Dallas Goedert, he put up 0 against the New England Patriots last week. So Durham Smythe is going to do the exact same thing this week. I wonder what fantasy football nonsense thinks about Durham Smythe and what his projections are for Durham Smythe this week. Adrian Finna says, take away, hold the ball as you cross the plane. Noted. I commend Justin Jefferson for his effort there. Big effort. He had to put the team on his back, and you know what? It is what it is, and he owned up to it. So God bless him for that. JC, you posted something interesting today about what Bill Belichick said.
I got some shit for it, but go on.
Yeah, no, the floor is yours. I want to hear your take on that. Absolutely.
Well, I mean, like you saw that I actually wasn't like my complete idea, right? I took it from Pelissero, who brought that up, and I thought it was interesting. Therefore, I tweeted it. Belichick, the Patriots teach and preach maybe to their guys not to make that play. Do not extend one-handed at the goal line. So then I just added my own take to it. Yeah, a good, well-coached team doesn't make that mistake. But that's the difference between the Patriots and the Vikings. Paraphrase. There wasn't word for word like that. And yeah, well, I think it's more than fair considering if it came from Pelissero, whether he covers the Patriots in depth like that or not, or he just whipped that out of his tool bag. But, I mean, look, call what it is. It's New England Patriots. Whether, okay, so fine. Bill Belichick may not have a stellar record without Tom Brady, but can't take away from the fact that this man's one of the best coaches of all time.
Amen. I don't think you said anything I disagree with. Once again, I commend the effort, but I also understand how Bill Belichick is so detailed in the most minute.
That's right.
Like details, and that's the difference between a Belichick and a young up and coming coach up there in Minnesota. Speaking of Minnesota, Brian Dudek says the Vikings aren't going to be good if they keep turning the ball over. I don't think the Vikings are going to be good unless they get people to protect Kirk Cousins, because those Georgia Bulldogs were eaten. They were absolutely eaten. All right, I think that's enough about Philly and Minnesota. Let's get into game 1 of our Sunday daytime slate. Let's talk about the Green Bay Packers, who are actually 1.5-point underdogs coming into Atlanta. The over-under is 40.5. And I just want to know, fellas, on the Green Bay side, you got a couple injuries. Christian Watson, he's questionable. Romeo Doubs is cleared. But there's a very big chance that Aaron Jones could sit this week. Is there anybody that you guys like for Green Bay? Let's talk about Green Bay. We'll start with you, Patrick Pucci. Anybody you like for Green Bay this week?
Yeah, I like Musgrave a little bit. I like Aaron Jones a lot. I mean, not Jones. I mean, AJ Dillon. Yeah,
fair.
You got to use Dillon, right? I think there's no doubt.
Now, speaking of AJ Dillon, he looked horrible, and he was actually also rested towards the end of the game there against the Chicago Bears. Like, he didn't look good at all.
No.
So, Patrick Taylor, the running back, number 27, should Aaron Jones be out for the game? What do you guys feel about Patrick Taylor? We'll go with you, Basketball Jones, because you are our Green Bay, pro Green Bay local Green Bay fan. You know everything about the Green Bay Packers. How do you feel about Pat Taylor?
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting a little worried, honestly, about this game more than I was earlier in the week. That running game, AJ Dillon's got to show up.
Got to. It's only in this game.
Last year, he kind of took a step back, and he even admitted himself he was so focused on doing well that hindered him from doing well. And he hasn't shown to turn it around yet, in week 1. So, I mean, if Taylor's in there, if Dillon's not showing up, somebody has to, because if we have no run game going into this contest, it's going to make it a lot harder. I mean, I believe in the Packers, and I think they can win this game, but if they have no run game, it's going to be tough.
I completely agree. What about you, JC?
Big AJ Dillon fan. That's first and foremost. I think if he gets the bulk of the carries, if Aaron Jones sits, he's going to have a smash game. The other dude, Jackson, is that his name? I mean, I don't know enough about him.
No, it's not Jackson.
It's not Jackson. What is it?
It's
Taylor?
Taylor, yeah.
Taylor, yeah,
name. I just said the name and I just forgot it.
Don't know enough about him. I saw
Patrick Taylor.
Patrick, yes.
I saw him get on the field. That's when Aaron Jones was, on the sideline. I mean, okay, whatever. AJ Dillon should get the bulk of the carries. AJ Dillon should smash if Aaron Jones does miss this game. I'm curious to see if Christian Watson makes it back. If not, Romeo Doubs will probably go. I think Romeo Doubs will have another solid game, and Luke Musgrave could have a really solid game. They're playing the Falcons. This isn't like this isn't the Dallas Cowboys. The Falcons can allow points.
Mm-hmm.
This is a winnable road game for the Packers.
I find it very interesting that the Packers, and I understand that the Falcons, they had a good performance last week against, but I find it very interesting that the Packers are underdogs here. I know David Bakhtiari is also questionable, their left tackle. I know that Quay Walker is also questionable, but there's no way that they can be 2.5-point underdogs in a game against the Atlanta Falcons. It almost seems like a gimme, but last time I said it seemed like a gimme, it was Cincinnati against Cleveland, and that was not so much a gimme. Yeah.
Yeah, these bookies know something. That's a little fishy, but in my mind, I think it's Green Bay blowout.
Well, I think part of it too is that, week 1, of course, Jordan Love looked awesome. The Packers looked great, but everyone is thinking, was it because the Packers are good, or was it because the Bears are just that bad?
Guess we're going to find out.
This week we're going to find out,
Yeah.
and even then against the Falcons, even if the Packers go out and win 38-10, I think there's still going to be doubters out there, but it'll at least show if they can consistently do it or if it was just a fluke.
Fair. You know who I'm looking for in Green Bay? And it's not necessarily like I'm going to play him in fantasy football, because like any day is going to be the day where he pops off. Jayden Reed looked explosive. Did you just mouth Jayden?
I knew what you were going to say before you.
He looked explosive. He had some big chunk opportunities. He's on the field a lot. He was working as a wide receiver number 2. Now, clearly, that's because Christian Watson was injured. But when he was on the field, he had some very explosive opportunities. And just like Musgrave, he was like a step or two away from, breaking fantasy football with his big opportunities there too. So like in terms of chasing ceiling, I think Jayden Reed's like, he's got to be in every one of your DFS lineups on a weekly basis. Is there anything else we want to say about Green Bay?
Yeah. I mean, just on the Jayden Reed point, I mean, they were doing design plays last week for him. You know? So they want to get him the ball.
Absolutely.
And especially if Watson's not playing. I mean, Dobbs is great. I love Romeo Dobbs. Especially this week, if Watson doesn't play, I think he's a wide receiver too easy. But Jayden Reed, you're going to see them going after him a lot too, and Musgrave. And Musgrave just has to calm his nerves a little bit. He looked a little flustered last week, but as a rookie, you're gonna get that. But.
Why don't we go to the other side of the ball? If Jair Alexander took DJ Moore completely out of the game, what kind of game is Drake London going to have?
Fair. And to touch on your point, Adrian Fitta says, has the Packers' run defense improved? If not, I bet the Falcons throw the ball only like 4 times. Sure. And then Fantasy Football Nonsense says, Toure season, I got to see it to believe it, brother. I mean, he's just one of those dart throw names at this point. I feel like Jayden Reed has like a legitimate chance. But yeah, as JC said, let's talk about the other side of the ball. Do you guys see another week happening where Pitts and London combined for 2 receptions together, or do you guys think that like we're going to see them step up? Do you guys like them in DFS? Do you guys like them in fantasy? You guys like any props?
I think the only two dudes that you could feel comfortable about starting are Bijan and Algieri. That's it.
Totally agree.
And let Ritter
Riddler.
continue the Riddler. Let Ritter continue to manage the game. So if that means freaking Kyle Pitts to have 2 catches for 60 yards, so be it. And Drake London to like basically be held in check, which again I'm alluding to the fact that Jair Alexander took out DJ Moore. You most definitely take out Drake London. So as long as they continue on with the game plan, the Falcons are just going to run the hell out of the ball, and that's the end of it.
Yeah, if they can run it, though. I mean, with that passing game being so bad, I don't know if they're going to run well.
They're going to have to try. That's all they need to do is just run, punt. I feel like they have a solid defense, and it's not a bad matchup against Green Bay's offense because there's no spectacular weapons that are currently available. And shouldn't Aaron Jones be out? Should Christian Watson be out? I feel like, the spread kind of makes sense the way it's going back and forth. What about you, Jonesy?
I was going to ask the total. 40?
40 and a half.
40 and a half. I think this is an under game.
Yeah, I do too.
It's a good bet. I would take over 3.5 field goals. That's what I would take.
I like that.
That's plus 215 odds. That's easy money.
That's easy.
That's easy money. Yeah.
That's easy money.
Until
there's 3 field goals.
Yeah.
Can you eliminate that half?
Yeah, you could go with a 2.5.
No, could you eliminate? Well, all right, yeah. So take
because the push wouldn't work. Like if you got the push, you just get your money back.
Yeah,
you push. Yeah.
I like to do that. Sure.
Adrian Fitta says I'd take the under for sure too. It's going to be a grind. Stephen Hulick, he says YouTube.
Uncle Mercy.
That's
Uncle Mercy.
Uncle Mercy.
He says YouTube pausing a lot here might have to bounce. No, don't bounce. Stay. Baby, don't go. He says hammer the under. Jonesy, anybody on Atlanta's side that you like?
Bijan, Algier. I don't know how much I'm starting Algier in like a seasonal, but I mean maybe as a flex, but I like those two. I mean, I personally wouldn't start London unless he's your only option.
Now
but I'm kind of Jair Alexander biased. So Pitts is interesting because he always has that ability to go off at any time, and the Packers in history, we struggle a lot with tight ends sometimes. So, I mean if they can get the run game going and they can get Pitts going, it won't matter if London's taken out,
That's a good point.
And especially if Clay Walker doesn't play, that's going to be another knock on that defense. And I mean, we have a strong corners, I should say. We don't have strong safeties, but we have strong corners. So it just depends on how much they can, take those guys out.
Now let's shift your thought process, Jonesy, over to DFS and you other fellas as well. To DFS, would a Mac Hollins at $3,900 be a feasible play, especially since Darnell Mooney, the second wide receiver who wasn't being covered by Jair Alexander last week, actually had a pretty decent outing. $3,900. I think Mac Hollins, and as my good friend Fantasy Football Nonsense says, the Joker, aka Cordero Patterson, put some respect on my guy's name. I think those are the only 2 guys on Atlanta who I'd be willing to take a shot on in my DFS lineups. Other than that, I don't want to pay up for the Algier, especially as RB2. I don't want to pay up for a Bijan, especially against a very tough run D. I don't want anything to do with Desmond Ritter this week because the Green Bay defense is very stout and very spectacular, and it tastes like sulfur coming out of my mouth saying that. I don't like it. Anyways, anything else we want to talk about this game, folks? Who you guys got winning?
Green Bay, big.
I'll get in trouble if I don't say Green Bay.
You could say Atlanta. I mean,
I'm going Falcons, baby. I'm going Falcons.
Oh, you're going Falcons.
I'm going Falcons. I'm going Falcons in like a 2, like by a safety, 2-0.
I got to admit, I might be a little
by a safety because Green Bay fumbles in their own end zone.
Godwin says, sorry, had a long day. That's Beeline. What up, Beeline? Thank you for tuning in, brother. All right, let's go into game 2 on our slate. And thank you for tuning in after your long day, brother. The fact that you're going to take time to come hang out with us, it's pretty spectacular. All right, we got Las Vegas Raiders. They're 8.5-point underdogs coming into Buffalo. The over-under is 47. Let's talk Raiders. Josh Jacobs didn't look spectacular last week. Jacoby Myers looks like he might be out with a concussion.
I think he was.
And Devontae Adams, I mean, he is Devontae Adams, but he is fairly priced up, especially in DFS. So is there anybody that you guys like here on Vegas? We'll start with you, JC.
For Vegas?
Yeah, Vegas, baby.
There's two guys on Vegas, and it's Jacoby Myers is out. There's two guys on Vegas. It's Devontae Adams. It's Josh Jacobs. They'll want to establish the run. They probably can, okay, to a good extent. But then when they fall behind to a Bills team that's pissed, it'll turn into Jimmy G having slinging into double coverage and Devontae Adams. I mean, what else is there on this team? There's nothing else. Jacoby Myers had a great game last week. The problem is now he's in the concussion protocol and he's not cleared, right, Jonesy?
Yep. Yeah, I think I saw.
I don't think
he's doubtful.
I don't think he's cleared. So yeah,
well,
there's two dudes on this team.
Adrian Fitta says Renfro is a sneaky good DFS play.
I guess it depends what his price is.
like
I mean, that thought crossed my mind, but
Well, I mean, if Myers is out, yeah, absolutely. I don't disagree. I think it's completely fine. But I think Zach Wilson and Alan Lazard is better than Jimmy Garoppolo and Hunter Renfro. So the production that they had last week in comparison to the production that I'm going to anticipate, that I don't know. But I will say that the Raiders O-line can hold their own a little bit more than the New York Jets offensive line. I'd be curious.
I like that point.
I'd be curious about, maybe one of the two tight ends there. I don't know which one to pick. I've been all over Michael Mayer. I love Michael Mayer. I love him as a prospect, but he's right now playing behind Austin Pooper. And Austin Pooper, yes, I said Pooper, he's doing diddly squat, and he's just there because, he's been in the league for a while.
And they probably paid him something.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think anybody other than Josh Jacobs, especially as a DFS play, Josh Jacobs in fantasy, whatever format you're playing, you must play him because whatever Breece Hall did last week, Josh Jacobs can sustain and do, and also get into the end zone. So I like Josh Jacobs a lot in fantasy in general. Devontae Adams, if you drafted him, you have to play him. You have no choice. I don't love the.
You have to play him.
Yeah, I don't love the matchup, but if you drafted him, you have to play with your guys. Jimmy G, I don't think is a good play. I don't like Jimmy G at all. So is there anything else that you guys want to say about these folks?
It's a high over-under kind of for this game, I was thinking.
The over-under, yeah, I think 47. At 47. Yeah, 47.
That seems a little high. I mean, guess they're going to score. Maybe Buffalo's going to score a lot, I guess. I could see that.
Yeah,
I mean, Buffalo could go ahead. Right. Yeah. Sorry, Jones. You didn't mean to interrupt you there, buddy.
No, that's fine. I was just going to say, I mean, this game's going to depend on Josh Jacobs, in my opinion. I mean, he didn't look great last week, but he also didn't have a preseason. That was his preseason, to get back into the swing of things. So if he can come out and establish the run well, like he does, I mean, it's going to be a lot on him and Devontae because, I mean, Renfro's a dart throw, and the tight ends, they had one target last week between them. I mean, it was Mayer and I forgot your little nickname for
Pooper. Austin Pooper. Yeah.
I mean, they had one target. So, I mean, does that go up? Maybe, sure, but they're not going to change the game, in my opinion. So it's going to all be on Josh Jacobs.
See, I think JC is the only one who knows my answer right now as to why Josh Jacobs struggled last week. JC, why did Josh Jacobs struggle last week?
Anatomical adaptation.
Anatomical adaptation. You're
anatomical adaptation.
You're a smart man. God bless you.
The stuff he remembers, I don't know how he does it.
It's a good word. It's a good word.
I'm not good with those words. That's right over my head.
Practicing.
Fantasy Football Nonsense says unlock Mayor Game at $3,600 in DFS, especially on Owner's Box. If you use promo code Disco, I'll match your initial deposit up to $500. Sorry, I had to plug that in there.
I used it.
Yeah, I know you did. I appreciate you. Yeah, man. I feel like he's worth a gamble, especially if you're going to do like 150 lineups to max out. I think he's worth a gamble. He's got a decent matchup, but like my projections for him are absolutely atrocious. Anything else you guys would like to add about the Vegas side, or can we go talk about the Buffalo Bills, who lost in a roller coaster of emotion game last week against, Aaron Rodgers? Everybody says Aaron Rodgers had 4 snaps. No, there was 5. Aaron Rodgers had 5 total snaps. He played 4 snaps, and the 5th snap was his Achilles. So, yeah, it's a bad joke. Sorry, too soon.
No, it was good. It was good.
Too soon. My bad. My bad. I've been waiting all day with that one. I've been waiting all day. I like
Clip
that one a lot.
that.
I know. Okay, so Buffalo, they looked horrible. Josh Allen looked like he didn't have that anatomical adaptation either from the preseason. Stephon Diggs looked spectacular. James Cook kind of was disappointing, but I also understand he was going against potentially a top 5 rush defense. I want to know your guys' takes. How do you guys think Buffalo is going to come back?
Are they going to force the ball to Diggs?
They have to.
That's how they're going to come back.
Easy.
They're just going to continue to force him the ball. They do have another wide receiver there. I think his name is Gabe Davis, but I mean, I wouldn't start him. I wouldn't play him at all. I don't have him in any team. James Cook looked really good. If there was one bill to take away, like he was involved in the passing game. So
yeah, he was involved everywhere. Yeah,
Everywhere.
he was involved everywhere. And I think like there was very, very little Damian Harris. Correct? I mean,
Yeah, that was unusual.
like one rush.
Wow.
Yeah.
Buffalo usually uses 2 backs. I mean, that seemed a little weird, but
You know what I found interesting? Latavius Murray
yeah.
played every snap in the 2-minute drill.
Wow.
Every
always
snap in the
finds a
2.
way.
James Cook did not get into the 2-minute drill at all. It was Latavius Murray, both in the first half and the second half, and
Okay,
I found that
thank you.
very peculiar. I did not see that one coming. What about you, Jonesy?
I mean, I Buffalo's. I think they're going to have a bounce back game. I mean, they were just embarrassed. I mean, it's how they lost that. They shouldn't have. But I mean, I like Diggs in this game. I don't think Cook's a bad play. Josh Allen. I mean, most of the well-known guys on Buffalo are pretty safe bets this week, I think.
So speaking of guys on Buffalo, that could be a safe bet and also like a relatively decent price, especially in DFS. You got Mr. Gabe Davis. He's priced in at $5,600. So he's the second least expensive. Jacoby's the cheapest out of the 4 big names there, should he play. But Fantasy Football Nonsense says Gabe Davis, bad game, low ownership. If he spikes, it might be critical. I think it could be absolutely critical. In fantasy football, though, how are you playing this, JC? Is he like your wide receiver 2, your flex, or is he random?
No, he's on the bench.
He's on the bench. What about you?
Yeah, best ball only maybe. That'd be about it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
as a
could have him on.
DFS play,
Yeah.
I would maybe throw Gabe Davis in there in DFS, but
Based off of ceiling, I'd be willing to flex him. I'm always willing to flex like the highest ceiling play, and I feel like he has a very high ceiling. Godwin says Bills. Ron, what's up, Ron? He says Dalton Kincaid. I think Dalton Kincaid is also a sneaky play. Him and Dawson Knox are both priced at $4,000, and Dalton Kincaid's my tight end 15 on the week, and Dawson Knox is my tight end 19. You might be able to play both of them, but then again, tight end points. I got Kincaid projected for 8 in CPR format, and Knox projected for 7.6, but that's floor, not counting a touchdown. So yeah, I mean, I think Kincaid's a safe play. I think Dawson Knox is a safe play. I think there's nobody on that team other than the 2 backup running backs that aren't a safe play. They're all good. And then Hardy got he's one of those guys who I looked at. I'm like, the utilization alone against the Jets defense, is encouraging for me, especially early on, because he was getting utilized in the swing game a lot. There was a lot of volume going Hardy's way. Is Hardy somebody that you guys think that he could pop off? He might be a waiver wire sneaky pick, or not touching it, not interested.
Yeah, I'm not interested.
I'm not really interested, honestly.
No, thank you.
Whatever, man. Whatever. Adrian Finna says Latavius Murray was in there to pass block. Steven says it's Uncle Mercy. Mercer?
Uncle Mercy.
Uncle Mercy. He says couldn't get Cook on the field. He was standing on the sidelines trying to get in. Melissa Harris likes Diggs. Godwin's loves Gabe for a TD this week. Interesting. I got him. I got him projected at 0.5 TDs, so the odds are there.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Hardy is, I mean, if you look at their snap percentages from last week, Hardy was at 22%, Sherfield was at 16%, Shakir was at 10%. I think that third wide receiver right now can go any way. So you're really just throwing a dart.
Pat, you got to show off your jersey.
I got a little Joe Burrow,
little Joe Burr.
He represents all the teams.
Getting on me.
I know, right?
Don P represents all the teams.
Got to represent both here. Joe Burrow is coming back this week for fantasy. Got to have it.
You that's how I know you're a nice person. You're representing divisional rivals.
Who would do that, right? You're a Patriots fan and I'm a Steelers fan, and we get along. How about that?
No, I'll get along with anybody. Like
Me too.
Honestly, I think going to Buffalo for a football game is a must do for any human being. They are absolutely spectacular, especially as an away fan. Tailgating there, so good. Just them in general, the people of Buffalo, very nice people. But like, fuck them, fuck their team. Right? I like them. I like their food. I like the fact that they like spraying each other with ketchup and mustard. But fuck them. You know what I mean?
We should make a road trip to Buffalo.
I'm still surprised that you're not a Bills fan and you're farther east to the Patriots.
I know. That's what I was.
Hey, look, everyone's got their teams.
Some people like spraying each other with ketchup and mustard, and some people like championship rings. I happen to be one of the ones that enjoys winning.
Likes the trophies. I get it.
Man.
He likes the rings, yeah.
And
then there's Steve over here. He's a big Marvin Harrison fan, so don't let him.
Hey, I used to be a Bills fan when I was little, when they were losing every year to the Cowboys.
Really?
Yeah. And then I got smart and became a Packer fan. So.
And that was smart. But I was rooting for him then too. Oh man, depressing.
Yeah. All right, moving on. Next game. You guys all good with that?
Yeah.
All right, we got the Baltimore Ravens, who are 3-point underdogs against the underwhelming Cincinnati Bengals. The over-unders at 46.5. Let's start with Baltimore. They got some injuries. J.K. Dobbins out. Their safety out. Corner out. Odell Beckham Jr. eventually out. Mark Andrews questionable. Zay Flowers, that lone rookie, looked spectacular. Best Ball Jonesy, why don't we get you started here, buddy? Talk to me about Baltimore. Who do you like on the Baltimore side, if anybody at all? Because Lamar Jackson looked awful last week.
Yeah, he did. But if you drafted him, you have to play him. I mean, you're not going to have a better option than unless you're in a dynasty league and you got lucky over the years and have someone better. So you're starting him. The running backs, I'm not touching them. I mean, it's the same song every year. Dobbins gets hurt. Then it's Justice Hill and Gus Edwards, and there's always a third one sometime. And then you can't rely on any of them. So just stay away. Do yourself a favor, please.
Yeah.
And I mean, if Andrews plays, you're starting him. I mean, you have to. And the only wide receiver I'm touching would be Zay Flowers. He's the only one worth it there. I don't trust OBJ. I think he's way on the bottom side of his career. And I mean, Bateman, only played like 40% of the snaps, I think, last week. So I mean, maybe if that ramps up, maybe he gets more targets and stuff. But
I feel like a healthy Bateman's a good play. But like, is he healthy?
Healthy.
Exactly. Is he healthy? And
Isaiah Likely
Isaiah Likely.
I mean,
Isaiah Likely was a big bust last week.
Oh man, what a bust he was from me.
But Patrick,
it didn't kill you if you played him. That's the thing.
Yeah,
I played him.
if you
I
had
do
to
too.
choose, Pat, who are you taking in this running back room here in Baltimore?
I'm listening to Disco. I'm taking Gus. I picked him up in
Gus the
waivers.
Bus.
Yes,
Okay.
I picked him up in waivers. I got him. I'm not playing him, but he's
Yeah.
the man. I'm right with you. I'm on board with you.
Okay.
He's the one you want out of all of them.
Yes.
Yeah. What about you, JC? Make sense of this backfield for me. How are they going to do this week, bud, against Cincinnati?
I know everybody wanted to go or did go and get Justice Hill. They already have Gus Edwards rostered. To me, it's not a really good situation at all. And to add insult to injury, they may just very well activate Melvin Gordon.
Right.
They have to at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, they got that Tucker fella. He doesn't seem bad, but I thought it was the kicker. I was like, why is the kicker playing running back? But no, they actually have a running back named Tucker. Who'd have thunk it?
So like, all right, like Justice Hill scored twice, like within 9 yards. Like he had 9 yards and 2 scores. I mean, like that's not a good play. I'm sorry. It's just not. The Bengals could very much put the clamps down on him. Gus Edwards is not really a good running back either.
No.
So
I like
they're in
his
a lot of
bruising
trouble.
ability. I like his bruising ability. If you look at the stylistic approach that Cleveland used last week, and I know you can't compare anybody on the planet to Nick Chubb. You can't even compare Derrick Henry to Nick Chubb, right? Because even though it's a very violent rushing style, it's very unique and he's one of one in the way he runs the ball. But if we're talking about the violent bruising running back going for over 100 yards, I like Gus Edwards. I think Gus Edwards is a pretty decent play. $5,200. He's going to be featured. He's going to be utilized a lot, and they're going to try to keep that Cincinnati offense off the field. And I think Cincinnati's weaker against the run than they are against the pass. I don't know. I'd be more inclined to say that, but I do need to point this out. Steven, Mr. Mercy says, Patrick, your Steelers card is being revoked.
Come on, Steven. Just for one game. I got to get Joe Burrow back. Got to bring him back for my fantasy team. Then I'll burn it.
Brian Dudek asks, is Andrews playing? As of now, he's still questionable, but all signs are pointing towards he's more than likely to suit up and play. I don't know at what capacity he is going to play, but more likely than not, he's good to go. Steven, Mr. Mercy says he likes the over. Ooh.
All right, so
Beeline Pride says Ravens blowout. or Ravens blow, not blowout. Okay. Ron says Zay Flowers is going to get fed. I tend to agree. Remember last week when he was $3,900 in DFS?
Yes. Love that, Ron. That's a great call.
I should have taken your advice, but because I looked at it and I forget who I played instead of him. But I'm like, this is probably a really smart play. But I didn't do it because I thought it would be chalk. And I'm like, everyone's going to do it, and I want to be a little bit different. And
yeah, now he's $5,000, so you'll never be able to do it again.
But even at $5,000, it's still not bad.
It's still a great discount. I got him projected for 12.5 fantasy points, and that's his floor. So,
what's Mark Andrews' money at this week? What's his?
Mark Andrews would be $5,600, and he's projected for 11.8 fantasy points. So he's $600 more than Flowers, and he's projected for less points.
So Mark Andrews is put in. Go ahead.
Would that be the second highest price for the tight end under Kelsey?
Yeah, correct.
If Lamar Jackson's gonna get right in this game, all right,
it's got to be.
Maybe score 2 touchdowns and maybe rush for one. Right? Who's he throwing to? One of them is going to be Mark Andrews, I would say.
Yes, 100%.
Then what's more likely after that? I think the order would be Flowers, Bateman, I guess, and then OBJ.
This is going to be the week Isaiah Likely pops off.
Yeah, this is going
to be the week Isaiah Likely pops off, and I want nothing to do with him because he burnt me last week.
Well, and they'll both be on the field at the same time.
Yeah,
right. It won't even be like Andrews is out now. Likely's in and getting the majority of the snaps. Likely will line up in the slot.
Yeah, but you're probably right.
Melissa Harris says, "Coach, which one of you is coach?" To Melissa Harris asking.
Coach.
I don't know.
It's her coach.
He's her fantasy football coach. Okay, I was like, wait, what?
Like,
So JC, I like
Trophy
what you
coach.
said there. I really like what you said there. You said, if Lamar Jackson should have a get right game, right? I don't think he's going to have a get right game. I don't think it's happening. At least not this week. At least not this week. I feel like, I don't know. I think he's still trying to get used to the new offense. He's still trying to get used to his new pockets weighing him down, because like he's got really fat pockets weighing him down. He doesn't look as nimble as he did before. He looks rusty. He looks confused. And he's still a spectacular athlete. Don't get me wrong, but I don't see him getting right. Not this week. Not this. This might not be the week. I don't like Lamar here. Do you guys have anything else to touch on the Baltimore Ravens?
What's
I
the
just
Lamar
like
price?
Andrews.
Did we give the Lamar price?
Yeah, it's here. Lamar Jackson.
I think he's cheaper.
See, look at Ron. See Ron. Watch Melvin Gordon.
Uh,
I mean, like, watch him get activated and watch him be the one that scores the 2 touchdowns that Justice Hill scored last week. I could see that for
Good to see
sure.
that.
It's very
But
possible.
that doesn't mean that I would start Melvin Gordon either, though.
No, I wouldn't either.
I
Not
like
in
Mark
fantasy.
Andrews the best myself. I think if he's healthy, he's going to score.
Lamar Jackson's priced at $7,000. Joe Burrow's priced in at $6,800.
Give me Burrow all day.
Yeah.
It's a steal.
Melissa Harris is asking bench OBJ. No, cut him.
Yeah.
Cut him. Let him go. Let him go. All right, Bengals. They are actually not dogs in this one. They are not the underdogs. They are actually favored to win. The spread is 3, 46.5. Let's talk Bengals, folks. We'll start you off, Patrick. Who do you like on Cincy this week?
I like Chase a ton. Huge Chase game. He's not getting held back. Higgins is going to have a great game. They're throwing for 3 TDs. Easy.
I don't disagree. Who? Anybody else other than Chase, or does anybody want to touch on Chase?
All right, I'm a huge Chase guy, as Don P knows, and everyone else is going to know eventually. But if there's positive regression coming out of this game, I would think it would be Higgins.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep.
It's got to be Higgins.
What do you have, 8 targets, no catches?
There was like 0 stat line. Like I all I saw was 0.00 for fantasy points. That's all I needed. I think T. Higgins will just get like force fed the ball. Not force fed in the sense like, okay, like I'm just gonna continue to throw to you, force it that way. No, but I think they're gonna look to get him involved or look to scheme T. Higgins. And this just helps Jamar Chase or dare I say Joe Mixon. Of course it's gonna help Joe Burrow. I think it's T. Higgins is a good play. Don't sit T. Higgins. Let's just put it out.
Question: Why did Joe Burrow struggle last week? JC,
Why did he struggle? I get, is it like anatomical adaptation here as well?
Yeah, man, he didn't have any training camp. He didn't have any training camp. Anatomical adaptation. You get
Exactly.
reps, you play well. It's a fact. It's a fact. You get reps, you play well. Jonesy, who do you
Yes.
like in this Cincinnati Bengals stacked, underwhelming offense week 1? Who do you like this week?
I like Burrow. I like Chase. I like Higgins. I like Mixon. I like all 4 of them. I mean, this team is not what we saw last week. I mean, they're not going to be that bad. It's not going to happen. I mean, I would.
Could they start 0-2 though?
Could they start 0-2? Maybe, but
Maybe.
the only way that happens is if this game goes, crazy, and it's just back and forth, and they just get the bad luck of the draw at the end, But honestly, I think they're gonna show up. And
Here's my opinion. Jamar Chase is. Oh, go ahead, JC. My bad.
No. I was gonna say, like, it's too bad that I don't have historical like data in terms of nothing but like their scores, their matchups, like not fantasy wise, in terms of like, how they fared for the last 10 years, going head to head. That's I wish I would have had that. That's my bad, my fault.
It's okay. Hey, we're all learning, we're all growing, we're all
Yeah.
getting better. I think that's something that we can bring on next week. And here's the name that I never want to see again in my entire life: Mr. Mercy, Uncle Mercy, give me
Irv.
mercy. No Irv Smith. Irv Smith, hashtag you. 7 W's, hashtag you. We hate Irv Smith. I'm not touching him. Jones, do you like Irv Smith?
No. I was just raising my hand because
Okay.
I just looked it up quick. Bengals and Ravens have played 55 times.
There you go.
Bengals have won 27, Ravens 28. So it's a
Whoa.
straight 50-50.
Wow.
With this.
Wow. I like this. I like this. We're just
See, and that leads me to believe that they're gonna be it's gonna be a close game.
I
It's a
agree.
division game.
That's what that
It's
tells
always-
me. That's
Yeah.
what that tells me.
So are you touching the spread then?
A teaser.
Yeah, I'm going over. I'm taking the over on this.
It's
What was
teaser.
it?
Yeah, a lot of people in the chat are loving the over. My man Steven, Uncle Mercy, says 8 targets to T. Higgins. They also love T. Higgins. And then Adrian Fitta says, I hope Irv goes off just to spite you, but I ain't touching him with a 10-foot pole. I ain't touching him either. It might have to be a 50-foot pole. All right. So obviously we love Jamar Chase. He's been my wide receiver one forever. T. Higgins, you invested the draft capital. You got to play him. He's not a sell high prospect. He's not a sell low prospect. He's a high ceiling, boom or bust kind of deal every single week. You know what you're getting with T. Higgins. This is what you signed up for, right? So yeah, there's not much to talk about. I feel like we love the big names on Cincinnati. Is there any smaller names, any tertiary options, any names that we're not considering that could, come up and do pull a Trenton Irwin who got cut but scored 3 freaking touchdowns? Is there any Tyler Boyd? Maybe nobody. No.
Maybe
Okay.
Boyd
Yeah,
always
look
has
at-
his games here or there.
Yeah, you could get a touchdown. Could happen.
You can't.
Moving on.
There's no way to predict Boyd though. That's the
Right.
problem.
Exactly. His floor is unpredictable. All right, moving on. Next game. You guys are all good with that game. Anything else you guys want to touch on? All right, cool. Chicago Bears visiting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Bears are 2.5-point underdogs. The over-under is 41.5. Let's get started with Chicago. Justin Fields and DJ Moore stack. They had the anatomical adaptation. They got together in the preseason. It looked spectacular for play.
Sure they did.
Screen
Cool.
passes.
Yeah, Khalil Herbert looked great, in the preseason. Chase Claypool is now Chase Deadpool. I see a lot of posts about him lacking effort.
That's my guy, Deadpool.
Yeah, I see a lot of
think
posts
so.
about him lacking effort and not
My
wanting to be
Steelers
there.
are thanking him. My Steelers are thanking him.
So let's talk about the Chicago Bears. Who wants to go first? Just go ahead and tell me about the Chicago Bears this week. Do you see an improvement? Anybody?
Yeah, big game for Chicago. This DJ Moore game, they're going to light him up.
Okay. I think if there's going to be any matchup where DJ Moore does have a good comeback game, it's against this Tampa Bay secondary. So I second that. I really like DJ Moore here, and I think in DFS on Owner's Box, he's priced in at $5,600. It's not a bad play. It's not a bad play, especially with his ceiling. I like his ceiling. I like his play a lot. What's up?
Jonesy, Disco, Dom P. If the Chicago Bears want to win this game, then they're going to have to draw up what Justin Fields does best.
Yes.
That's what
Against
that they're going to have to just draw it up. Where, all right, here you go. Here's your lane. Here's the open field. Take off and get us down the field. Otherwise, Tampa Bay could just
Like street football.
Well,
Against that front seven?
Yeah, they're gonna have to. They're gonna have to do what Justin. They're gonna have to do what Justin Fields is really good at. Because right now, after the first week, Green Bay's basically just showed the league a good blueprint of what to do to stop Justin Fields.
Okay, but here's a kind of a counter to that. Last week he ran 9 for 59.
Yeah.
So what would he have to get to? I mean, 9 rushes is a lot. I mean,
Oh, you got
he's
to
Justin
run for
Fields.
100 every week, though.
I mean, you can't really
Right.
run him out there 15 times just to win. I mean, he's going to get hurt.
They just have to.
All right.
They,
All right.
Yeah.
Here's my point.
go ahead.
Okay, I want to make this point very clear. Last week, DJ Moore ran 47 routes and he was targeted twice, thrown to twice.
It's not good.
Cole Kmet, Darnell Mooney, and Roshan Johnson all had 7 targets each.
Yep.
You didn't invest that in that trade to not bring a game changer in like DJ Moore and not utilize him. Now, I will admit it. Jair Alexander is the best, if not one of the best cornerbacks in football. He shut down and shadowed DJ Moore everywhere. So DJ Moore, it's tough to throw that direction. But reality check is DJ Moore is still a spectacular player, especially in those run after catch situations. And I think that's where he's going to eat.
Yep.
I'm not going to say he's going to kill it with volume with like 10 or 12 catches, but I think when he touches the ball, he's going to break one big. And he's definitely going to get into the end zone. He has to get in the end zone this week. I think DJ Moore is a no-brainer this week. I'm not touching the running backs, though. I'm not touching Roshan.
Not even
I'm not-
Roshan.
Here's the thing. He had 39% of the snaps. You know, Green Bay's rush defense is decent, but the front 7 for Tampa Bay, it's a different beast. It's a different animal. That front 7 is spectacular. So if you were going to split 3 ways between Herbert, Roshan, and Donta Foreman, it's not a safe. There's nobody has a safe floor there until somebody stands out and becomes the guy. They're just all best ball plays at this point. They really are. I wouldn't even flex or put Khalil Herbert as an RB2. So yeah, that's where I'm at there. He's definitely one of my sell high or sell now candidates. Get what you can for that dude, because like that whole backfield's a mess. Unless it's Justin Fields or DJ Moore, get rid of them. Unless you want to hold on Roshan till the end of the back half of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anything else that we want to talk about? Darnell Mooney, Chase Claypool, How I Met Your Mother,
Chase Deadpool.
Chase Deadpool, Careless Whisper.
Darnell Mooney's actually been with this guy for like the last 3 years now. Correct? I think like
Mhm.
Darnell Mooney could be a sneaky, if nothing else, a sneaky depth. If you're in a large league with a big roster, maybe a second flex option or depth. Darnell Mooney should be on your roster at this point, especially if defenses are going to key in on DJ Moore.
True.
DJ Moore, as much as we all want to love DJ Moore, right? He's never had 1,000 yards in a season, has he?
That's a good question. I don't have the stats in front of me for that.
I don't think he has.
But let's talk about his quarterback situation last year, the year before that, and the year before that.
He's never had a quarterback.
Completely fair.
My
Darnell
man,
Mooney's sneaky.
Beeline Pride says I have Fields and more.
A lot of
Good
people
stuff.
do. A
I
lot
love
of people do. Of course.
I love
and,
it.
and we want to see it succeed without
Yeah.
question.
Steven says, he says Fields is another RB playing the QB position like Anthony Richardson. Absolutely. But Anthony Richardson looked accurate. But let's stay here. So Darnell Mooney, would you play him in DFS? He's priced in at $4,500. That's a pretty decent price, especially since we have been saying the Tampa Bay Buccaneers secondary is atrocious. He has Spike Week freak written all over him. Is that a good play in DFS on Owner's Box using promo code DISCO?
Yeah, it's not bad.
Okay. I feel like we're over talking about these folks here in Chicago. Let's talk Tampa. Anybody want Pat? Anybody you like in Tampa? You think Rachaad White's going to have a comeback game?
No,
You think
no.
Okay.
They're going to sell him now. Get rid of him.
Okay. JC?
I would go with Rachaad White in this situation against the Bears. And to get the volume against this team, I think this would be a comeback week for Rachaad White.
Jonesy, what about the receivers? Kate Otten, maybe even Baker Mayfield. Do you like any of those folks this week against Chicago?
I mean, yeah. I mean, if the Bears are really as bad as what they could be, I'd like anyone against this team, honestly. I mean, I'm starting Godwin and Evans. They're probably starting every week, no matter what. Otten, he's kind of just one of the tight ends. Just pick one, And Rashad White, I'm not a huge Rashad White guy, but I think this week could be good. I mean, we saw Aaron Jones just demolish that defense. And if Rashad White is going to be the guy that gets, 80% of the snaps again this week, like he did last week, the production will just be there, I mean, so I'd probably feel pretty safe with him this week as, at least a flex play,
Yeah. All right, we got a question here. Kenneth Walker, I believe. Ron's asking Kenneth Walker or Rashad White, what is the best play this week for his fantasy football team?
Who's Seattle playing?
Detroit.
I'm playing Walker.
Yeah, I'm probably going Walker almost every week.
Yeah, me too.
You have to. Yeah. Who's your flex? The fact that you have to pick between both of those two guys, that's a good draft, Ron. That's a damn good draft.
Right.
Commissioner Ron has a solid deep team. We found
He
that
knows how
out
to
last
draft.
night. We found that out last night for sure.
Definitely.
I think Baker Mayfield at $6,000 in DFS is a decent play, but that's all I'm doing with Baker Mayfield. Rashad White, as much as I like him, he's got to do something for me to see it.
Yeah.
Like
it's at 3.6 yards per carry right now. I mean, that's not too good. That's his career. I think.
But okay, so Tampa, who did they play last week? Minnesota.
Yep.
They played the Vikings, right? What did DeAndre Swift do last night to that Minnesota Vikings Swiss cheese defense?
Yeah.
170.
So what's the difference between Rashad White and Swift? It's an offensive line, right? And that offensive line for Tampa Bay is bad. It's pretty bad. So it's not that I don't like White. I think White's a great play. But I don't know. Like I call this the game last week between Minnesota and Tampa. I call that the Lyle Collins sweepstake game because one of them needs Lyle Collins. And I don't even know how good he is this year. But yeah, man, it's just bad. But yeah,
he's going to Dallas. I mean, going to the Patriots out here.
I'll take
him. Boy, he keeps wanting him. Zeke is trying hard. He wants him.
Oh wow! Beeline Pride says Walker is going to get destroyed. Oh, okay.
I'm a Kenny Walker guy for sure. I had him last year, drafted him as a rookie. Let me preface this. Hold on a second. When I talk about a team, it's always going to be my primary main team, right?
Your home league.
My main home league, which is an auction keeper. I drafted Walker last year. I did not keep him this season. I was a little hesitant. I wound up keeping Devontae Smith and Garrett Wilson, but that didn't work out very well with Garrett Wilson because of the obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Kenny Walker is a good running back. The only thing that bothers me is the fact that they drafted Charbonnet. Just because Charbonnet didn't play last week, that doesn't mean he's not going to play or get on the field for the passing downs. And I mean, again, Kenny Walker is explosive. He could hit a home run.
Yeah.
Without question, he can hit a home run at any time.
Melissa, I believe your stream is delayed. We talked about Chase like a few minutes ago. All right, so let's go to the next game. I'm very excited to talk about that game, but we got to go in order. Here's another 1 p.m.er. We got Kansas City Chiefs, who are 3.5-point favorites against the Jacksonville Jaguars. You got an AFC semifinal rematch between these two. You got the flow god at home, Mr. Trevor Lawrence. You got Travis Kelce, who's practicing and back, and you got Kadarius Toney. How do you guys feel about the Kansas City Chiefs, folks?
Fire them up. They're scoring. It's going to be a lot of scoring.
Yeah, well, let's talk about the obvious, right? Who are the obvious starts? And the over-under is 51. Interesting.
Yeah.
JC, talk to me. I see you thinking about something fire to say, or like I see like something got in there, and you just want to let it out. Let it out, man. Let it go.
I can't conceive of the Chiefs going 0-2. How about that?
Yeah.
I can't conceive of it. Like the NFL will be turned upside down
Disco's out of
if Jacksonville beats them. And the spread is telling us, right, that 3.5 is saying it's going to be a close game. And it might be a close game at the end because I guess Jacksonville does have that home field advantage. Pound Duval. But I mean, Jacksonville will have to keep up with Kansas City in this game. They'll have to keep up. Kelsey back on the field. Let's see him. Let's see those wheels turn at 33, 34 years old. Mahomes is going to get this team right.
Yes.
I can't conceive of it otherwise.
Mr. Mercy likes the over. He says hammer the over. And then he says something ridiculous like Kelsey 60 tackles. I mean,
I knew I liked him.
Targets maybe, but
here's the thing. For Travis Kelsey, it's like it's out there. It's pretty wild, but it's also very possible.
It is.
It's very possible, right? Especially with how bad they looked last week without him. Adrian Fiddle says you don't want to start 0-2 in the AFC. That's bad news. Chiefs will be hella motivated. I like how the Raiders fans like wasted no time saying we're number one in the division. Everybody else lost. We're the best. I love it. I love it. This is
You got to do that. You got to.
This is the Raiders Super Bowl. God bless them. Jonesy, talk to me. Travis Kelsey, coming back from the injury. Do you think he's going to be utilized early and often, or do you think they're going to slowly bring him back in?
If he's out there, it's going to be the Kelsey show. I mean,
Okay.
Will he play 100% of the snaps? Maybe not, but I mean, he's one of those guys that even if he only plays 50% of the snaps, that 50% can change that game completely.
Agree.
So, I mean, I like Patrick. I like Kelsey. Me personally,
Make sense of that wide receiver room, please.
Yeah, I mean, I did this breakdown, and I wish I had it in front of me, but I don't. I did this on Monday, I think it was. That I know everyone was hating on Kadarius Toney, but with his percentages and his targets when he was out there, they were trying to force him the ball when he's on the field, and that was what they were doing last year with him too. When he's on the field, they try to force him the ball. They want him to get the ball in his hands. So I'm not giving up on Toney yet. Will I start him? I got to look at my lineup. I have him in a couple of leagues.
You like him over Rice?
Yeah, I mean, I think if I had to choose one out of all of them, I'm choosing Toney until he, at least until we get more data. This wide receiver room is not going to be, figured out even after this week.
Completely agree.
Here's the trouble, Don P, Disco, Jonesy. Sky Moore could wind up going off for 8 catches, 80 yards, and a touchdown.
He could.
No, well, Disco's saying no.
could.
Rice?
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. You could be very right, but like I'm never ever going to bet on Sky Moore again because fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice. You can't fool me again. I don't know how the George Bush
so
saying
the
goes,
sky's not the limit in Jacksonville.
Okay. So here's my take. Okay. I think Kadarius Toney coming off of a surgery. Travis Kelsey had an injury that very well should have gotten a surgery. Having a hyperextended knee and a bruise in your knee means that there's actually like a fragmentation of bone in your actual knee capsule. So to anticipate that he's going to be at 100%, sure, 100% Kelsey, the Chiefs are running wild, but not 100% Kelsey. The Jacksonville Jaguars have the exact same recipe that the Detroit Lions had last week. They got a very strong run game with Travis Etienne. They got phenomenal wide receiver number 1 and complementary receivers beside him. It's the exact same replica. They got a phenomenal speedy tight end like Sam Laporta, because I'm a Laporta supporter, and Evan Ingram. Right? And the thing about this Jacksonville Jaguars defense that like I feel like people don't think about is when they have a chance to take the ball away, they will take the ball away. They will give up a crap ton of rushing yards. They'll give a crap ton of receiving yards, but they are ball hawks, and they take the ball away better than a lot. Like more. I want to say they're top 10 at taking away the ball, and that's just me spitballing. I don't actually have the numbers in front of me. Ron Kerr says not all great Raiders fans believe that the Raiders are winning the Super Bowl as long as Jimmy G is the quarterback. I don't know, man. Jimmy G's been there. He's done that. He's led some winning teams. I feel like Jimmy G is somebody you got to believe in. Steven, Mr. Mercy says, if Witten can get 18, then Kelsey can get 16 easy. And Tonko adaptation, sir. Godwin says, Rashee Rice, the Bears are not going to win, says Melissa Harris. You're behind. Just click the live button. Steven says, cortisone goes a long way. Been there, done that. Not afterwards. Steven says, Mel, you are way behind. They are Casey and Johnson. Okay, it's okay. Somebody help her. We need her here because
not behind.
I love her energy. She's absolutely spectacular. All right, so we talked about KC. I feel like we haven't touched on the running game because I feel like we all bought into, and at least me personally. I don't want to speak for everybody else, but I bought into the Isaiah Pacheco hype. Yep. I thought Isaiah Pacheco was all world, but CH is back from the dead. Everybody wrote him off, but like he didn't write back. CH, ladies and gentlemen, in a contract year, he's back. Jarek McKinnon did diddly.
Yeah. Now CEH is not playing at all though. He's going to be out.
Clyde, Mr. Clyde Edwards. I'm not sure if he's active or inactive, but
I see nothing on the injury report.
To the Lions game, it wasn't like Edwards-Helaire blew the brakes off. You know what I mean? He didn't have like a spectacular running game either. So both facets, both guys didn't run the ball well at all. Pacheco, CEH, and McKinnon I think was on the field for like 2 snaps.
Yeah,
which that was fun.
When I'm talking about Clyde Edwards-Helaire being back, I know none of them were spectacular.
He was on the field.
He was there. He came back from the dead. He was the Undertaker. Everybody had gone to his funeral.
They started him, right?
He just went, did the full sit-up. He's back. He's back, ladies and gentlemen.
That would have been a nice little meme for Twitter.
Right? So $4,200 for Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and then $5,400 for Isaiah Pacheco, $4,600 for Jarek McKinnon. Is there anybody you'd be willing to invest in at least once in that backfield for this DFS slate?
I think McKinnon. I think Clyde Edwards not playing. I read on Roto World.
Edwards-Helaire was out today with an illness. So could he play? Yes.
Yeah. So he's questionable?
He's questionable.
Very questionable. Yeah.
Okay. That's news to me. Geez. Well, thank you. Breaking news: Patrick Pucci, Fantasy Football, Don P. I mean, like
he's Jonesy knew too. So
he
just got the text from CEH himself. He's like, "I'm not dead, but I'm sick, Doc." Don, I'm all right.
I got to keep up on the injuries. That's all I keep up.
Before we move off this game, should be noted that this game is actually being talked about right now on the network. The last time these two teams played, 27-20. Chiefs. Last time they played.
That was in the playoffs, though. Playoffs.
Which playoffs? Not last year. Oh yeah. Last year. Yeah, last season. All right, it's 27-20.
That was the injury. Mahomes. That was the injury game. That's where Mahomes came down with the ankle.
Correct. That's right. So that was with a backup quarterback. They still put up 27 points. This game should go over. This would be an over.
Well over. Right.
This would be an over game for me if I was a betting man.
That's what Uncle Mercy was saying earlier. I'm with it.
Yes.
All right, so let's talk Jags. We talk Chiefs. Let's talk Jags, okay? Who do you like on that Jags offense this week? I feel like Trevor Lawrence should be a must start. I feel like he should be a must start. But what about Travis Etienne? I was kind of fading him, but like he made me eat my words. How do you guys feel about Etienne?
Same as you said. I'm liking him a little now.
Yeah, I might want to get there now. I might have to get there now.
Yeah, I like most of the Jaguars. I mean, they're going to have to keep up with Kansas City. So, I mean, I'm firing Lawrence. I'm firing Ridley. I'm firing
everybody. This is a start.
I'm a little hesitant because I don't know how that wide receiver room in Jacksonville is playing out here. I'm a little hesitant just because Zay Jones got, he seemed to be more featured in that number 2 spot. but
Yeah.
I'm still firing pretty much everyone. I mean,
Since Zay Jones has been in Jacksonville, he's been a top 25 wide receiver.
It's crazy.
Like,
That's
people
crazy,
need
'cause
to
I wouldn't
realize
believe
that
it.
he's been a top 25
Yeah.
receiver since he's
I
been in
mean,
Jacksonville.
I'm not sitting Christian Kirk, but
I'm not
I'm just-
drafting Christian Kirk.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
but I mean, I think Ridley's the home run.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, and Evan Ingram. I mean, I've always liked Evan Ingram. I mean, I think he's always a solid guy, but
We don't get enough shares of Ridley though. We messed up on that. We should have
Yeah.
took him early.
yeah.
I
And
got
I'll tell you what, I actually had to
You did.
sell off shares last year to win championships, so it was worth it.
Oh well, that's fair.
But I had to sell off shares last year, one in a dynasty, another one in a keeper. And I didn't want to do it, but I had to
Hey,
make the moves.
It's always win now.
Let's not all just like bury ourselves with missing on Ridley. Okay, so
I didn't miss. We don't miss.
So
I see him up there smiling
So
at
he got into the end zone and he had a solid game last week. This doesn't mean that this is going to be like a every week regular occurrence.
It's not just the numbers on paper. He looks every
looks the
bit
part.
of the piece of a wide receiver one, not just like wide receiver one
I
in
get it.
Jacksonville, but wide
I
receiver
get it.
one in the NFL. Like he's in that list now.
I get
And I know it's a 1 game sample size, but like it's what we saw on tape. And like Calvin Ridley's an elite talent. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No. Stop.
Yeah, my bad. So go ahead and tell me why 1 game wonder is happening here and why I shouldn't be
Well,
happy
I
that I
mean-
got over 30% Calvin Ridley in my Drafters Fantasy Best Ball tournaments. And you can use promo code DiscoDrafts1 and get your initial deposit matched up to $100 and hit a pick'em ticket with us.
Look,
It's fun.
I just I think based off of last week, he looks like hasn't missed a beat. Okay,
Mhm.
he could very well just like smash the entire season.
Mhm.
But I also do believe in Jacksonville and Trevor Lawrence and like spreading the ball out to the open receivers. So like if we saw Zay Flowers opposite Calvin Ridley in like 2 wide receiver sets last week, the majority of the time, I wouldn't be surprised if like Christian Kirk got back in that role in 2 wide receiver sets. If Christian Kirk's going to find himself open in 3 wide receiver sets, I think Doug Peterson is going to just draw it up to get the open man. And it will, and that could very well be Ridley the majority of the time. Here's the other thing that I think is important to note. There's going to be a lot of volume here. I think we're going to see a ton of offensive volume with the Jaguars, period. So ETN is going to be able to eat. Tank Bigsby is going to be able to eat.
I was going to ask you about that. Yeah.
Evan Ingram. If Evan Ingram's open, my God. I mean, like, what's he going to do?
Right.
He's going to force the ball into Calvin Ridley if his tight end is open? Evan Ingram. So I think there's going to be a lot of volume to go around here in Jacksonville. I really do.
I agree.
All right. Do we have anything else to talk about this game? Who do we like in the money line, folks? Talk to me. You guys all said KC money line, or you guys like the spread 3.5?
I like KC.
I'm taking Jags money line straight up.
Okay. It's going to be close. I mean, like Kelsey's not all the way healthy, and like you
So
said,
Disco.
that's the big key.
What's up, brother?
So if you're taking the Jacks money line, you just think they're going to win outright.
They could. I could see it.
Being at home, they could. I think that gives them a little
With
bit
Kelsey
of
not being 100%, that is the only reason. That is literally the only reason, because there's so many question marks literally at the wide receiver position. At like the only position on offense where you don't have to question what they're doing right now is Patrick Mahomes and that offensive line. That offensive line actually did a good job keeping them upright last week against a very stout Detroit Lions front seven. But like, you don't have to question those guys right now. The only question mark on Travis Kelsey is he 100% healthy?
Is he
And,
healthy?
like, and I don't think he is. And the other wide receivers, nobody has stepped up yet. I think Kadarius Toney, I think he's going to be good. I think he's a hold situation. I think he's a buy low situation. But I think right now it's not his time. He's going to need another 2 to 4 weeks to be that guy. And once he becomes that guy, he will be that guy. But other than that, if the running back room is a bunch of question marks, if the receiving game is a bunch of question marks, and if Travis Kelce, most importantly, is a question mark, then all signs are pointing to the Jacksonville Jaguars, who have no question marks.
Right.
They are solid. They are solid. So that's my reason behind it. I have no question marks. It's not like because Kansas City can't lose 2 in a row. I'm not.
Yeah. Well, somebody in Kansas City is going to end up with 100 catches this year. I mean, if Juju's gone and they're gone, those catches got to go somewhere. But it's a matter of who and when, like you said.
Yeah, and one thing too
Be
with
a
this
few
game is Chris Jones is going to be back, so that's going to be a huge, upbeat to that defense. He's the life of that defense. So yeah, I don't know how he'll look because he might have that anatomical whatever.
Why do you look like a wizard when you're using big words? Magic words.
Because I'm using big words, so there's air going out of my head, and I got to read.
That's like me. I get that.
Yeah,
Two brains are on the top. Two brains are on the top.
But yeah, Chris Jones is the life of that defense. So I think that run defense is going to be better than it was last week. But there, like you said, Disco, I mean, I agree with you. There's less question marks with Jacksonville, and with it being in Jacksonville. For some reason, I'm thinking of a game, and I don't know if it was last year or 2 years ago, where Kansas City went to Jacksonville, and they had a really tough time. I wish I knew which one it was, but it's just sticking in my mind for some reason. So,
any other points on this game, or can we move on to the next one, folks? Let me know. You guys are good? JC, you good? Phenomenal. All right, we got the LA Chargers, who are 3-point favorites coming into Tennessee against the Tennessee Titans. The over-under is at 45.0. Let's start with the LA Chargers. Austin Eckler, he's doubtful, so he's been upgraded to doubtful from questionable with a high ankle sprain. A lot of doctors, including Dr. Jesse Morris, shout out to Beat the Doc League, said that typically with a high ankle sprain, it's anywhere between 2 to 3 weeks. So insert Joshua Kelly here in this situation. Is there anybody in particular here that you guys like that's not the obvious? Because we've always discussed the obvious. Let's talk about some sneaky plays before we talk about the obvious guys. Is there any sneaky plays here on the LA Chargers, any tertiary options, any cheap options that are going to help us fit all these other studs in our DFS budget?
The tight end, maybe. Out there in Jacksonville. Yeah, over.
Okay.
Well, Gerald Everett, I could definitely see getting a touchdown for sure.
Yeah.
He was definitely missed last week. How about Quentin Johnson? I mean, we're talking about Zay Flowers.
Right.
We're talking about I don't know if we talk about we talked about Jordan Addison. We didn't get to JSN, but what about Quentin Johnson?
That's a great call.
I agree, especially with Mike Williams coming in relatively banged up and not, I wouldn't say questionable or injured or on the injury report, but the fact that he was in concussion protocol and is always banged up and always dealing with stuff. Right. I feel like Johnson might have a good opportunity. I think that's a very, very great point. Stephen Hulick, Mr. Mercy, says Joshua Palmer, that's Jonesy's guy, and Ron Karras says Spiller is going to have his coming out game. Oh, that is
that's the other sleeper.
Yes,
Quentin Johnson.
Really?
I think
a great call, Ron.
I like it. I'm not there with you guys, but I like it.
Nobody's thinking of that. Nobody's thinking of that.
I like the charisma. I it's one of those situations where I can't predict it. I got to see it to believe it. And even if I see it to believe it, it's going to be like, okay, well, Jesus walked on water because he couldn't swim. It's going to be one of those situations because Isaiah Spiller fooled me once again. This is called the petty bank. If you've burnt me in the past, you're going in the petty bank right here. And Isaiah Spiller is petty bank number one. Jonesy, talk to me, buddy. Talk to me.
Well, Melissa's still a game behind. She's talking about Rasheed Rice.
It's gotta be.
It's fine. It's fine.
It's got to be the
As long
internet.
as she,
That
as
it
long
has
as
to
she's
be the
watching,
internet.
that's the only important
She's
thing.
watching. She's definitely watching.
Yeah, I mean, Spiller. It's always been. Is it going to be Spiller? Or is it going to be Josh Kelly? That's been the conundrum. And it's shown to be Kelly. So it'll be interesting to see how Spiller is involved, if he is at all. I mean, the only other guy that saw a running back snap last week was Elijah Dotson with 1. So if Eckler doesn't play, it could really be anyone behind Kelly. I mean, I think Kelly's the guy you want. Everyone's going to be using him in DFS because he's probably $5,000 if that. I mean, and then receivers. I love Josh Palmer. I always have, but I think Quentin Johnston he's that guy I think that fills in for Mike Williams a lot better. And even just looking at last week, on 22 snaps last week, he had 3 targets, I think. Yeah, 3 targets. And I mean, Palmer had one target on 52 snaps. So, I mean, Johnson saw the better, target percentage there. So
I will say, Kellen Moore as an offensive coordinator, he is a true believer in attacking the stack, going where they're not, right? So the numbers that jumped out last week to me in the week 1 matchups, and this is how I'm going to play it, is the Tennessee Titans held, Jamal Williams and that running game to almost nothing. I know this because I had him in one of my leagues, and I borderline wanted to drop him, but I'm just waiting for Kamara to come back. You got to make Kamara great again. So moving on. So I say that I say that to say this. Okay. Last week, Kellen Moore attacked the stack because he was dealing with a lot of light boxes, and the running game decided to pop off. Where Tennessee fell off last week was the New Orleans Saints receivers, and lousy Derek Carr went ballistic on them. So I feel like Joshua Kelly might not actually be a great start. I feel like Isaiah Spiller is definitely not a great start. I feel like any of the wide receivers, and like I know I asked you guys to say the tertiary options, but like now we can come back to earth and common sense. I feel like this past game, this is the one you want in your DFS lineup. This is the one you want in your fantasy lineups. I don't care if it's Mike Williams, Quentin Johnston, Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen looks revitalized. He looks fresh. He looks ready. Whatever you can get your hands on in this passing game, 100%. This is what you want. This is what you want. So the call on Gerald Everett, Patrick, like I like it a lot. Stephen Helix says Parham. He's one of those guys you can't predict. You can't predict Parham. You can't. But like Gerald Everett, his run after the catch ability is very, very.
But I think what you're asking of us is to try to predict like everyone after Keenan Allen, because we know Herbert and Keenan Allen have that.
Keenan Allen,
exactly.
Like they have that established rapport.
Yeah.
So now we're asking for, okay, now what would be the second read? Who could be the second guy? Josh Palmer. We've definitely have seen that. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm also thinking, you know what? Quentin Johnston could have a game here. Mike Williams 2.0 could have a game. And look, the Chargers can't abandon the run, right? Someone's going to have to get the carry. Someone at least is going to have to get the attempts.
Yep.
My guess is that they're going to probably put the clamps down on Kelly to some degree. And this could very well be Spiller's coming out party. It could, or the Chargers may just struggle in this game if they can't get a ground game going.
Yeah, it's very possible.
That's the way I look at it.
Well, the key is you got nobody catching that ball out there. Nobody, because Kelly's not catching the ball. So all them passes are going to somebody.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. I think they're in the medium game. The tight end is going to get fed a lot. Oh, I love the Gerald Everett call. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Josh Kelly, number 2, and Isaiah Spiller, number 3, doesn't mean that they're the next Austin Eckler.
Yeah, they're not catching these balls.
Just because Austin Eckler started out as a backup, correct?
For sure.
That's why I like Quentin Johnston, too, because, I mean, the ball's going somewhere, just not to the back.
The
Yeah.
ball will go somewhere for sure.
Yeah.
But
But
again,
Herbert's I got him projected as top 3 this week. He's going to have a game, and I might just put on that game on the second TV instead of the NFL Red Zone just to see him light up the Tennessee Titans defensive backcourt. So here's a word of advice, folks. If you're watching this right now, whoever is playing against the Tennessee Titans defensive backs, they're your best shot to win your fantasy week matchup. 100%. So Mike Williams, I love him. Keenan Allen, I think he's going to have a spectacular game. Let's talk about the Tennessee Titans. I don't really want to, but let's do it. DeAndre Hopkins, questionable. Treylon Burks, full go at practice today, and so was Chig. They both had lingering issues coming in. Derrick Henry, obviously, a spectacular play as per usual. Tajay Spears is questionable. But yeah, with that being said, don't worry about tertiary options or saving your money. Who do you guys like here? Is Derrick Henry going to be RB1 this week?
he's going to be RB1 for the Titans. Yeah.
No, I'm talking about overall on this day.
Overall, no. Although
Okay.
I mean RB1 total, no. I think he'll have a bounce back game. The Chargers. All the Chargers need to do is just like stack 9 to stop him, and now they're just going to dare Tannehill to be to throw the ball. D-Hop may miss this game, right?
Yeah.
D-Hop's
Yeah, he's questionable right now. Yeah.
He's coming in questionable. This was probably the biggest mistake DeAndre Hopkins could have made going to this team, by the way. But we can say that for another conversation.
Yeah.
You know what?
I got
Tajay Spears going to continue to lead the backfield here?
He's also questionable. He's also questionable.
All right. So who's not questionable? Treylon Burks is Treylon Burks not questionable?
Treylon Burks is healthy. Treylon Burks is healthy. He's good. Sorry, the Matrix had you there for a second. You were lagging a bit.
Jonesy, are you playing anybody in Tennessee? I'm not.
I mean, you're playing Henry if you drafted him. I mean,
yeah, okay.
But
I didn't draft him.
other than that, I mean, I don't like anyone on Tennessee this week. I mean, D-Hop is probably your best bet if there's anyone, but I'm not excited about it.
Yeah.
I'm not excited about any of the Titans this week at all.
Yeah. I mean, the one guy who I'd want a little bit of exposure to in terms of like DFS, not in fantasy football, Treylon Burks, $4,500. He seems like a decent play. He's definitely a ceiling play, but not like anything that you'd want to write home about. Stephen Hewlick says, Uncle Mercy says, Tennessee is going to be playing from behind all game. Henry will get around 70 yards. And to think that the spread's only at -3.
Again, well, they're on the road. They're on the road, right?
But that's a gift.
It's a gift.
Because last week, only 4 home teams won. Everybody else was a visiting team. Everybody else who won a game last week was on the road. So I don't think that has much to do with anything. I feel like LA Chargers -3 is a gift.
I love it.
So is that enough about Tennessee and LAC? Are we good to go to the next one?
Yeah, I'm a little debating whether I play that tight end there or I go and play Ferguson.
Chig.
Or do I play Ferguson out there in Dallas? That's my tough call.
Do
you like that?
That's really tough.
If D-Hop doesn't play, I would play Chig.
Good call. I think that's a really good call.
I have Chig in Dynasty. I have Ingram in Dynasty also. I go Ingram over Chig, but I like Chig. I think Tannehill has a connection with Chig, established.
I like the call if D-Hop don't play. That's a good idea.
Yeah, that's brilliant, Jonesy. I like Chig in best ball, but I can't get to him in redraft. I just can't predict his floor, right? In best ball, he came at a great value. He's a great ceiling play. All right, let's talk about the next game. Don't really want to talk about it, but we'll talk about it. We got the Indianapolis Colts, who are actually 1-point underdogs coming into Houston. The over-under is 39.5. Would be a gift. The over-under is 39.5. Indianapolis +1 versus the Houston Texans. Let's start with Indy. Jonesy. Let's start with Indy. Or actually, let's not talk about the teams individual anymore. Let's just talk about the overall fucking matchup. How do you guys think the matchup's going to go? And who is your favorite play in the matchup overall? Let's just talk about it that way. We don't have to go back and forth between both teams.
I'll put it to you this way. It's intriguing for the fact that you got two rookie quarterbacks.
CJ Stroud's questionable as well with his right throwing shoulder. But he's going to play. Kid's a gamer. He's going to play for sure. But it's just weird. The injury report is crazy today.
Crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's a very unique storyline. Two rookie quarterbacks, top 5 picks. That's and I got them both in IDP Superflex. That I didn't.
All right, so now that we have that out of the way, that those two cancel each other out. Who's got the better wide receivers?
I would say, oh shit, I would say Nico Collins is going to have a phenomenal game, and so is Michael Pittman. Other than that, maybe Josh Downs has a coming out party because, I really want to see Josh Downs ball out.
Okay.
He has the upside to absolutely ball out, but I don't want anything to do with. John Mechie could actually play. That's great news. So should John Mechie play? That could be a sneaky play.
You got Mitchie there. I'm hearing whispers about Tank Dell that wants to be that guy, right? I mean, there's
well, they just put Noah Brown on IR.
Did they?
Yeah. So and Noah Brown was in on 68% of the snaps last week. So someone's gonna have to take that role. So it's gonna. If it were me, Tank Dell, I think, is the first guy to move up in that spot. And we've seen Tank Dell a little bit in the preseason. He was all the hype, and he's got that connection with Stroud. I mean, I think the kid's a playmaker. I'm not trusting him in seasonal, but maybe a long shot DFS play.
Fair. Uncle Mercy says, or Durham Smythe in terms of your tight end situation. Not this week. The Patriots are tight end killers.
Yes.
Shout out to my New England Patriots. And Melissa Harris says Kansas City.
We know it's the delayed feed. We know this.
Yeah, I know it's fun.
Let's go back. Let's go back to right there, Uncle Mercy. Pierce.
Yeah.
Okay, so running backs. Damian Pierce versus Moss, right? Zach Moss is going to get the start.
Yeah.
Who knows? That's still a mess. I don't see Moss running out of time.
Offensive line for the Texans versus Colts D line.
Well, the Texans O line, not only do they have a lot of guys questionable, like Jonesy just said, they got guys on the IR. They are injured, they are hobbled, and I think the front seven for the Indianapolis Colts, they're also phenomenal. DeForest Buckner, that dude's a monster. So I don't want anything to do with Zach Moss because he's a one-trick pony, right? He's a hard runner. Dude has a broken wrist. So if I had to pick between the Indianapolis running backs, I would pick Anthony Richardson all day. He's the best running back that they got. He's absolutely phenomenal. But I think Deion Jackson has a higher upside play simply because
I agree.
Because he has that reception aspect, but that's PPR format only.
Yeah,
right?
Against it with the matchup, yeah.
Yeah, Deion Jackson is going to be utilized in the passing game. Zach Moss is still coming off a broken wrist.
I honestly think, and I could be dead wrong, Deion Jackson ran himself into that doghouse.
Yeah. I don't think Zach Moss is
I could be completely wrong. This is why I don't like really making predictions. Because I don't have that crystal ball. But I do have gut and I do have experience. And when you ran that shitty, right? It's something's wrong. So they automatically named Zach Moss the starter. It wasn't even
exactly.
That's a very good point.
Very good point.
So it doesn't bode well for Deion Jackson. I remember last season too. Deion Jackson had one good game, then Deion Jackson had a really, really bad game. We didn't see Deion Jackson for a while after that.
True.
Yeah,
Good point,
I mean,
good point.
Deion Jackson was 13 for 14 yards last week, and even receptions. He had 6 targets, 5 receptions for 14 yards, 2.8
Right, but they still keep
per
feeding him. That's the point. Though. I
reception.
don't understand it.
But like it's the thing is like they don't have anybody else. They really
yeah.
don't. Evan Hull is hurt.
But just because they don't
Is
have
hurt.
anyone doesn't necessarily mean that guy's going to produce.
The fact
No,
that
That's
you're
the
three
thing that
running
people
backs
need
right
to
now.
remember.
Just think
You know,
about it.
just-
The fact that you're 3 running backs right now, Jonesy, are Deion Jackson, Zach Moss, and Jake Funk. Because Evan Hall is hurt. Those are your 3 running backs to choose from. If you had to pick from them, like
Well, if I had to, me
I
personally,
wouldn't.
I would pick Moss.
yeah,
But I'm not picking any of them. I wouldn't allow myself to make
For
that
sure.
one of my options.
Yeah, it's a mess.
Someone else.
Is anybody else a Damian Pierce owner, or I mean Devin Singletary in best ball?
I mean,
Boone out-snapped Singletary last week. What's up with that?
that was interesting. That
Yeah.
was interesting.
I'm a Pierce owner, but
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
I'm
wouldn't say I'm
Pierce all the
first
way.
favorite. I wouldn't
Hey
say I'm a
guys, I hate to cut short, but I got to get up at 1, so I got to get rolling.
Hey, Don P, I appreciate you. Thank you
No
for sticking
problem,
this one out.
Don
As
P.
always, brother,
Thank you,
All
love
guys.
you, man.
Great time. I wish
See
I
you,
could
man.
hang longer. All right, man. Later,
Blessings,
guys.
boss.
Peace.
All right, let's do this. Oh,
Oh,
too close.
Too
My bad.
close. Too close. Much
thank
better.
you, thank you.
Oh,
thank you.
that I'm too big now. All right. All right. That's good. Okay. So Stephen Hulick says Stroud 3 interception game is very doable, very possible. But I don't know. I like the way he distributes the rock. I think he does a decent job. Adrian Feather says I really like Justin Jefferson in this one. Kidding, idiot, absolute idiot. Okay, so I feel like we gave that game way too much time. I don't think anybody other than Nico Collins, Michael Pittman, Anthony Richardson, and potentially Damian Pierce are must.
Yeah, I mean you're starting Pierce if you have him
For sure.
But
Yeah, I'm trying to trade Pierce if I do have him, and I don't. Schultz,
You gotta-
Schultz
Can't
is a
trade
bust.
Pierce yet.
Schultz is an absolute bust.
it's one
freaking-
game. It's
He's
one
a
game.
bust. He's a bust. I've been saying it all off season. He's a bust, and I'll keep saying it. And I'll keep. Yeah, and Kyle Granson want nothing to do with him. So yeah, let's move on to the next game. This game is the first game in the 4:00 slate. We got the Seattle Seahawks coming into Detroit. The Seahawks are 4.5-point dogs. The over/under is 47. I feel like the over there is absolutely spectacular. So talk to me, folks. Seahawks came out flat against the Los Angeles Rams and lost a lot of people a lot of money because they were supposed to be a lock. Do you see the Seahawks bouncing back this week?
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of teams that were flat week 1, and that's how it always starts. People overreact about things. I think they have all the tools on that offense in Seattle to fire at any moment. So
Brian Dudek says Lions win. Fair, very fair point. JC
Yeah. This is in Detroit,
in Detroit.
and Seattle typically doesn't travel that well, but Detroit's really like not East Coast, so to speak, in terms of traveling. Yeah, this is a tough game. I want to say that the Lions will win this game, but I could also see the Seahawks like pulling it out, just pulling it out. And let's go back to the rookie conversation, because we spoke about, again, Flowers, we spoke about Addison, we spoke about Richardson. Do we have a JSN sighting? Can JSN, can he step up? It's week 2. I know it's still early, but I think they got to get this dude the ball. They have to get this dude the ball. And it's not, I know enough of this Tyler Lockett. They need to get DK Metcalf the ball. And yeah, the run game wasn't an issue per se last week. It really wasn't. Kenny Walker had a good game. It wasn't that bad of a game. So they're gonna have to do that against the Lions, that's for sure. And that's gonna set up the passing game.
Mhm.
The Lions should still. I mean, coming off that win, now they have all that time to prepare for this game. I think the Lions could probably win this game.
So
Sit
I'm
down,
glad you
sit
mentioned
back.
Jackson Smith and Jigba here because in
Come
terms of
on.
my list, he is the definition of X factor in this matchup alone. Should Jackson Smith and Jigba perform and ball out, he could be the difference maker in the Seattle Seahawks winning this game, right?
Is
And he's only pricing at $4,400 on Owner's Box DFS this week, which I think could be a low key steal, an absolute low key steal. I think that's a great price point for him. I got him projected for over 3.5 receptions, over 50 receiving yards, 10.3 fantasy football points as his floor. I think that's a tremendous value. I think that's an absolute steal. But let's talk about let's because it's not going to be Noah Fant. Noah Fant is not going to be the freaking X factor. It's not going to be Will Disalili. It's not going to be any of those guys, right?
No.
It's either going to be DK, Lockett, or JSN. We know what DK is capable of. We know what Lockett's capable of. JSN, that's the guy they invested that first round draft capital in. And I really want to see what he does. Because last week, the defense wasn't awful. Bobby Wagner had what? 19, 17, 15 tackles? Wagner had a game, right? So and Jamal Adams could potentially play. So, yeah, I don't think Seahawks are a horrible team. I just feel like, they didn't utilize the right pieces. So I'm not out on the Seahawks. I don't think the Lions is a lock as much as people want to say the Lions is a lock. But let's talk about the other side of the ball. Let's talk about the Detroit Lions.
another rookie, right? Everybody,
I go again on my own. Jahmyr Gibbs.
everybody's up in arms over like, why isn't he being utilized more? Why was the usage kept down? Why isn't he the one with the ball? Why is Montgomery the one carrying the ball? All right, I get all of that. I like this dude also. I do. I like him. I got him somewhere, definitely. But I think we all need to take a step back here, and I think that the Lions running a game and the rushing attack is going to be much like last season's. David Montgomery's got the Jamal Williams role. Jahmyr Gibbs is just going to be utilized all over the place, rushing the ball and in the passing game. And more reps are going to come for Jahmyr Gibbs without a doubt. But I think everybody who was up in arms on that Thursday night has to just understand that they didn't bring David Montgomery in just to be like a handcuff. David Montgomery is going to be on the ground as well.
I don't disagree.
He's gonna be on the ground. There are no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Now, again, Jahmyr Gibbs is gonna get his attempts for sure, and rightfully so. Rightfully so. This dude's.
Oh, the Matrix got him. Oh, he's back. So, like, just to add to your point, it doesn't mean that like they hate Jahmyr Gibbs at all, right? The formula was the ground and pound formula to beat Kansas City. The formula can change on any given week. So Jahmyr Gibbs should get involved in the passing game more than he should be getting involved in the run game. My man Uncle Mercy says Gibbs 25 touches. I mean, shit, that would break fantasy football because 6.7 yards per touch last week, which is absolutely spectacular. 25 touches. I'm not no mathematician or anything, but that's
a lot.
Record. That's a
lot. That's a lot.
Like 10, I think, last week.
Yeah. So let's talk Josh Reynolds or who is it? Jones Jr. Let's talk about those folks. Marvin Jones Jr.
What's there to talk about? There's one wide receiver to talk about, and then there's one tight end to talk about. Come on, Disco.
Sam Laporta. I'm a Laporta supporter. But if we're looking for a tertiary option,
we
saw Puka Nacua, we saw Tutu Atwell, we saw those guys ball out last week. Those guys were both under $3,800. I'm trying to get my freaking cheapos in here, and if those two can have productive games, why can't Josh Reynolds and Marvin Jones Jr. do it? I like it.
Well, they can, but I'm not going to try to predict Marvin Jones versus Josh Reynolds. Marvin Jones is old, but he always has his games, and he's kind of a solid veteran that always shows up a little bit at least.
Both these guys are priced at $4,000, and then you can
the thing is though too is you know that Gibbs his product or his snap share, it's going to increase week by week.
sure.
So that production that was elsewhere last week is going to go to Gibbs, and that's going to take some of these guys down a little bit, So if they're giving Gibbs more attention, a guy like Josh Reynolds or Marvin Jones, one of them's going to, be affected from it. They're not just all of a sudden getting more production. I don't think they're getting any more production against Seattle than they did against Kansas City. I think it's less production because the game's going to be slower paced.
So if you had to choose in DFS to pick between Jahmyr Gibbs or David Montgomery this week, Jahmyr Gibbs priced at $6,000, Montgomery at $5,600. Who would you ride with?
I'd ride with Gibbs.
For the ceiling?
PPR, sure.
Yeah, it's PPR. Yeah, for the ceiling.
Yeah.
What about you, Josie?
Yeah, probably. I mean, they're both in that, medium cheaper range. So you want to go ceiling. And Gibbs obviously has the higher ceiling,
I got Montgomery projected for 0.6 more fantasy football points. Why would I pay up to get 0.6 less fantasy points?
Montgomery's always going to be a good floor play. I mean, he's always
this guy can very well run for a touchdown every game this season. Every single game, he can have one rushing touchdown.
Again, last season there were Jamal Williams 25.50 fantasy points out of Jamal Williams for rushing the ball and scoring 2 touchdowns. So David Montgomery could very well have 60 yards on the ground and get the 2 goal line scampers, like barreling in touchdowns and get you that little bit more than Jahmyr Gibbs will give you in terms of overall production. However, again, I see Jahmyr Gibbs getting worked in definitely more for this game.
Fair.
I on the other side of the ball, I see Zach Charbonnet being worked in more, although that's really starting from the absolute floor of last week and then increasing from there. So it's a little bit of a different story with Zach Charbonnet.
I feel like if there was any lesson for Seattle to take from their dud of a performance last week is you got to feed Kenneth Walker early and often. And, Charbonnet, the pick was cute, but let's be fucking real. Walker's the guy. He's him. Right. So get the ball to Kenneth Walker, set up the play action pass, get it to one of your 3 spectacular receivers and call it a day. That's the recipe for success. Right. And that's how they should go about it. Is there anything else that you guys want to talk about? Sam Laporta. Yeah, he's got tremendous upside. I think he's a safe tight end play. He's priced in at $4,200. Noah Fant, Will Dissly, don't want anything to do with them.
I mean, seriously, after Kelsey and Andrews and Waller, if he's healthy, you could almost just pick a tight end. You could almost just pick a tight end on any team, and they're all dart throws at this point.
Did you say Waller was upgraded, JC?
Waller was upgraded from questionable to healthy. Yep.
Amazing. So he's going to break freaking fantasy football this week because anybody playing against
or go for 0 and people are.
We haven't gotten to that game. Real fast, but in the interest of time, real fast. What happens if Geno Smith, absolutely bombs out again?
Oh God, I don't know.
Then what? And they go 0-2.
I don't know. Trade for Zach Wilson, let him go back to the New York Jets where it all started. They wrote him off.
Could you imagine
writing him checks? What? These storylines. I need to be. Did you guys see those commercials for the script writer commercials? I think they're absolutely brilliant. The NFL script writer commercials? No.
What do you mean?
Oh, they have commercials where they're making fun, the guy from Key and Peele, the bald one. They're literally poking fun at the fact that the NFL is scripted and they're having script. I'll send it to you. I can't explain it well. Anyways, on to the next game. San Francisco 49ers coming in as 7.5-point favorites against the Los Angeles Rams. The over-under is 45. Anybody from LA you're willing to touch this week? Because you got the we'll just put it out there, and I know you guys can all agree. CMC, George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, Brock Purdy. They're all startable. They're all very, very startable. Right? Let's not debate it. Elijah Mitchell, fuck that. His only value, Elijah Mitchell's only value comes if CMC goes down. Other than that, I don't want anything to do with Elijah Mitchell. Great handcuff. But
I'm not even sure he's the handcuff.
wow,
Yeah,
hot,
I
hot
mean,
take. Hot
Kyle
take.
Juszczyk was
Yeah.
used a lot last week, and that's probably a
That's
lot
a-
of game streak. But Mason's out there too. I mean,
Mason.
that's always been, a tricky backfield to figure out after the number one.
Brian Dudek says those commercials are hilarious. Thank you, Brian. Thank you. Appreciate you.
This-
So LA Rams, Puka Nacua, Tutu, Higbee.
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 You got me at Higbee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Frymouth did score a touchdown last week against them, so it kind of makes sense. What about Stafford? Do we like Stafford in this matchup? Is he gonna distribute the ball? Is he gonna show that veteran poise, or is he gonna get picked off like Kenny Pickett? Yes, he can.
the second San Fran just goes ape shit on them, like we know that they can. The minute protection breaks down, the minute the game gets that much faster for him and not slows down, which is what he needs, they're in a lot of trouble. They're in a lot of trouble. If San Fran plays the same way, which we all know that they can, against this Rams team, which they own, by the way. Again, the Rams are in a lot of trouble. I'm not a Kyron guy. I'm not a Cam Akers guy. I'm not a Puka guy. I'm definitely not a Tutu guy. Higbee, on the other hand, for security purposes, yes.
Yeah, I mean,
That's it.
like
That's it for me.
if an Allen Robinson can get involved,
Yes.
if an Allen Robinson can get involved last week, then a Puka can get involved this week.
Yeah.
If a Calvin
Yeah.
Austin can get involved last week, but I don't think these guys should start in your fantasy lineups. I don't think that a Puka Nacua deserves to be priced in at $4,800. That's a little bit rich for my taste.
That's the hype.
Yeah, that's the hype exactly.
That's the hype.
I tried to never buy on the hype. So they're San Francisco, start everybody. LA Rams, start nobody. Because it's going to be ugly. If Najee Harris is going to put up 3 rushes for 22 yards, what do you think Cam Akers and Kyron Williams are going to do? So yeah, I'm out there. Let's go to the next one. New York Football Giants are favorited by 4 coming into Arizona. The over/under is 39.5. Hopefully, Adrian Fidesz stuck around for this one. Boy, what a stinker! Those New York Giants. No, let's not talk about that. All right, go ahead. How do you think this game's going to play out, JC? Who's going to win?
The Giants have to win this game. It's not a matter of who do I think is going to win. On paper and on personnel, on paper, right? And the product on the field is better than the product that's in Arizona. Simple as that.
Jonesy?
Yeah, I got the Giants in this one. I mean, especially if Waller's, a full go, it's game over.
Okay, both
Saquon. I mean, again,
yeah.
I think Saquon's a sneaky play this week in DFS because no one's going to be on him.
It's a mismatch. However, again, because they're on the road, because they're in Arizona, there's some sort of there's an idea that the game's supposed to be close because it's priced at 4, right? And I don't think
is Daniel Jones somebody you guys would ride with in DFS this week? It's priced at $6,500.
If Waller's a go, yeah.
Okay.
If he's not, then probably not. I'd ride more with a Saquon then.
Okay. Now, should Waller be healthy, would you stack Waller, Saquon, and Daniel Jones all in one lineup?
If I'm doing multiple.
Okay.
I bet you a lot of people are going to, but
well, I mean that's how you win. I'll tell you what I'd do. I would take the Saquon $7,000 discount and go with James Conner because I feel like James Conner might actually get into the end zone a couple of times, if not once, at least once. And he's pricing at a pretty $5,800. And that Giants run D last week was pretty bad. Now I know Arizona is no Dallas, right? But if you're bad at something, you're bad at something. So I like James Conner. He's their best player. This is the first time I ever said this year that I like James Conner. All April till now, I've been a James Conner hater. But yeah, wide receivers. I don't want anything to do with any of them. Not
Hollywood.
nothing.
All right.
I hate Hollywood. I hate Hollywood. The
I think
rookie
there's a-
Wilson outproduced. The rookie Wilson had more targets. He had more separation on routes run. Like yes, Marquise Brown had better statistics, but the rookie Wilson looked better. Like that game was a tough watch. By the way, it was a very tough watch. But yeah, Wilson looked better.
I actually think that this team is tanking already.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Already. Like that
Well,
dude.
You don't go out and sign Josh Dobbs.
I can't believe. Like,
expect
you
to
know
win.
what? He should have a touchdown to his stat line. He really should to his career numbers. But again, that was just a bad performance, and like to just trot him out there again. I mean, again, that's what I mean. There's a serious mismatch here on paper, and there's going to be
For sure.
there's going to be a serious mismatch every game going forward.
For
And
sure.
I'm sure we're going to talk about every matchup every week, so we could definitely
sure.
move on.
So
I like
Zach
Saquon.
Ertz. Before we go, Zach Ertz.
He's the one that
play?
he's the one that dropped the touchdown last week.
Okay. All right. Moving on. Banners. We got 2 games left. We got the New York Football Jets, who are 9-point dogs, coming into Dallas. How's this one going to go, folks?
Okay, Jonesy, hear me out.
Yep.
Everyone thinks that the Cowboys are going to just destroy Zach Wilson, right? Disco, you don't think so?
No.
Jonesy, you think that Zach Wilson's going to
When I did
Miraculously?
when I did my picks earlier this week, I almost put if the Jets were at home, I was going to pick the Jets. But since it's in Dallas, I'm siding with Dallas.
I like the spread. 9 on the spread. I like the spread a lot. I feel like the only difference between Daniel Jones and Zach Wilson is a Garrett Wilson. There's an actual Garrett Wilson there. I like Breece Hall. I like Dalvin Cook. I think that these guys cover the spread. Plus 9 is
the Jets could do their part, that's for sure, right? The Jets defense will do their part to put the clamps down on Dak
for sure.
And CD and who am I missing?
Pollard.
Tony Pollard.
Yeah.
Tony Pollard. But then there's nothing on the other side now. That's the biggest problem. I got that problem in fantasy. I got a big Garrett Wilson problem due to the quarterback now.
Yeah, I got a big Breece Hall problem this week.
All right. So that Breece Hall looked like he was shot out of a cannon.
Loved it.
Like a medical marvel.
Yeah.
Is that really going to happen again?
Not. I think he's going to produce. I got him here for over. Let's see. I got him for over 59 rushing yards. I think he's gonna be the RB23 this week, which isn't bad. It's a good flex play if he's your flex. If you got him late, very solid flex play.
Look,
But,
if you rolled the dice, bravo. If
Yeah.
you rolled the dice in the fourth, it was most likely in the 4th round.
Yeah.
Maybe you got him later in the 5th.
Well, like he's my second most owned player on Drafters basketball tournaments. It's Samaje Perine, then him, then Deebo Samuel. I got no Brandon Ayuk, so like I'm feeling that one. I felt that one last week. No Brandon Ayuk. Jonesy, must start tight end in this one. Do you like Ferguson or Tyler Conklin? Or do any of them have any value to you in DFS or in
Tyler Conklin?
I know, right? It can even be
Conklin. No, I mean
No.
Conklin. I liked with Rodgers because Rodgers always like in Green Bay he would go to that tight end, quite a bit, especially in the higher risk situations. But I don't like Conklin with Zach Wilson though.
No. Okay. So what about Fergie? You sound like a mixture of him and Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, if you're picking a tight end from that game, Ferguson's your best bet. I mean,
All right,
he had 7 targets last week.
Let's go to the last game. right? I feel like the best game is the Sunday nighter. None of these games are like absolutely spectacular. I look at
Is this?
the
Wait a minute. Sorry. This is the game. This is the one that I'm waiting for.
Washington versus Denver.
No.
This is the last game. This is the last game on the daytime slate. Are you talking about the New England Patriots?
There's two on Monday, aren't there?
Yeah,
Yes.
there's two Monday
All right,
nighters.
so I'm sorry. Yes. So I forgot that we don't get into the Monday game. Or All right.
We'll do that another day. Washington Commanders coming in
this game,
plus 3.5
this game sucks.
versus Denver Broncos. As I
There's
said,
better
there's like-
games early. The early games are better.
So Detroit, I will say Detroit versus Seattle, very enticing game. I would love to watch that absolute shootout. I think Kansas City against Jacksonville is a must watch. Cincinnati against Baltimore, must watch. Everything else, unless you're a fan of that team, it's kind of a dudster. It's kind of hot garbage. And I feel like the New York Jets versus Dallas Cowboys, if you like defense, if defense like you breathe
I'd
defense,
watch that game.
like if you like to eat with your hands and walk around barefoot, that game is for you. That's that kind of game. But like other than that, the schedule makers really fucked it up this week. They did. But I mean, everybody's got to play everybody at some point.
They should have had Kansas City and Jacksonville.
By the way, yeah. So Disco,
What's
Denver
up?
Broncos.
Yeah.
Sean Payton.
Yeah.
Yeah. How impressed were you?
I feel like
Only week one.
I feel like I saw signs of improvement, but I also saw the same old, right? And I think where I saw the same old was Russell Wilson not going through his progressions and making the right reads, and also rushing throws and making them more complicated than they should have, and trying to go for the big play. Mind you, they were missing Jerry Jeudy, and he is healthy this week, so Jerry Jeudy should make a significant difference. I like Jerry Jeudy. Samaje Perine, when he touched the ball, he was explosive. He looked good. Javonte, he didn't look terrible. Javonte didn't look bad at all. My biggest takeaway from that game is I thought their defensive backs would be better, and the fact that Adams and Jacoby Myers are both absolutely eight, makes me really bullish on guys like, a freaking Jahan Dotson, and like Jahan Dotson's price is like the steal of the entire slate on DFS, right? And this is why I do it, because like as much as I like talking to you guys here on the stream, I do it so I can win some fucking money. Jahan Dotson's priced in at $4,700 in DFS. That's a steal. And Terry McLaurin's priced in at $5,400. Jerry Jeudy $6,100. We haven't seen anything from him. Cortland Sutton, $5,200. Yeah, I want nothing to do with the tight ends. I don't like the tight ends here. But like Jahan Dotson seems like he has to be in every one of your lineups. Like you have to start your lineup with Jahan Dotson at the wide receiver one position and then fill around him, right? Am I wrong for saying that?
No.
I would think that you would want to stick with Jahan Dotson and not just like panic and take him out of your lineup at this point.
Yeah,
I would stay with him and see if there could be any see if there are strides in this second game. A little bit of a daunting task considering that they are going up against a pretty solid secondary, right? I mean, like the Broncos do have a good defense, but yeah, I would not take him out of the lineup at this point. In terms of his price, for DFS, there might be better options because again, they all playing the Broncos.
$4,700.
So what to put in the flex?
Yeah, one of the flex is one of your wide receivers. Why the hell not? Because look at it this way.
I suppose at $4,700, I'd put him in a flex.
The average price of a DFS player on Owner's Box is $5,500, and you're telling me you're pricing this guy $800 below average? He's a steal. I'm smashing that all day, every day. Jonesy, hey, please. Am I losing my mind here?
No, and I think Dotson, until McLaurin heals fully from his foot? Is that what was going on with him?
Yeah, he had like a Liz Franks kind
of. Yeah. But that could linger half the season. I think Dotson's almost a must play because he's that playmaker if McLaurin's not 100%. You know, I mean, if McLaurin's 100%, I'm taking McLaurin over Dotson. But
All right.
until then,
Here's the other problem. Why is he priced at $4,700? You know, Washington didn't look very good.
Because Sam Howell.
They didn't look very good, Disco.
No,
The
didn't.
Commanders, Eric Bieniemy.
But like that's not a shock to me. That's not a shock to Jonesy, to the
Weapons,
casuals. Maybe it's a shock,
fuck.
but it's not a shock.
Antonio Gibson was a
Bust.
non-factor.
Yeah.
There's no Scary Terry. The tight end, no. I mean,
Logan
there's
Thomas was
nothing.
okay. Logan
yeah,
Thomas.
four for 43.
What did Washington put up in that game? 13, 14 points. There was nothing. So like that's why he's priced at that 4,700.
Yeah.
That's the
And,
only information I have.
Yeah, I think it's because of Sam Howell. But you know, if there's anybody who I'm going to play in this game, it's got to be him because his ceiling and that price, like that's a moneymaker. Prices
I
like
get-
that, and like
There's-
that's how I've placed first before by finding an outlier like that. That is an outlier. Like we found Zay Flowers last week. This is my Zay Flowers from last week. This week, this
Okay.
is your value play. This is
Hey
your value.
man, I defer to you. I definitely defer to you and Jonesy for sure. I mean, yes, I do bring some experience to the table, some knowledge, but I mean, shit. I've seen it go. I've seen it happen. Just when you think a dude is gonna bust, a dude smashes. So
Yeah.
for sure.
You know what? It could very well happen with Sam Howell at quarterback, but this is the one gamble I like. I like this
Dan.
gamble. So Jonesy, you know how we were talking about the Liz Frank earlier?
Yeah.
So I was listening to another YouTube podcast earlier today, and I swear to God, the podcaster, he was saying, "Yeah, McLaurin's got the Anne Frank injury." I'm like, he's got the what? He's like, he's got the Anne Frank, and like his co-host is also stoned, and he's not correcting him, and he's saying like,
Is
he's
that
like,
supposed to be?
he's like
Is that a
Anne
joke?
Frank.
Is that a bad joke?
Well, no, like the injury is called Liz Frank, and he
Liz
seriously
Frank.
he seriously thought the injury was called an Anne Frank. Anne Frank,
That's terrible.
like she oh my God,
That's
God
terrible.
bless Anne Frank, and God, it was just funny. It was just funny. So when you said Liz Frank, I figured I'd giggle. Fellas, I appreciate you. Before that, let's talk about your winners for this game. Who do you got between Washington and the Denver Broncos?
Take the Broncos.
I take the under is 39.5 or 39.
Where's the game?
Denver.
Again? Take the Broncos.
Jonesy?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm going Broncos on this one.
You take Russell Wilson and Sean Payton over
Sam
Eric
Howell.
over
especially
Sam
if they're
Howell and Eric
getting Jimmy
Bieniemy and
back.
Ron Rivera.
I wish they had odds out for how many fourth down attempts a team's going to do, because I would go for the riverboat run over all day, every day.
I
Anyway,
think you can
Kyle-
find that.
Yeah, it's got to be somewhere. Fellas, I appreciate you. You guys are troopers. You guys absolutely beasts. I love the knowledge. I love the breakdowns. I love the conversation. I love the friendship. Shout out to our man Don P, Patrick Pucci.
He's got to get up early.
He had to hit the hay. But you know, it's always a pleasure. Thank you guys for joining me. I appreciate you guys. Until next time, peace.